Imagine, just for a second, a world where the horizon was the absolute end. A world where every landmass was an island, and beyond it, only the terrifying endless abyss. For millions of years, that was the human reality. Our ancestors walked, they ran, they climbed, but they never truly left. Until one day, something impossible happened. Something that rewrote the rules of survival and changed our destiny forever. They built a bridge where there was none. They looked at the endless blue, and they conquered it. But how? How did a species that couldn't even swim effectively, long before the invention of the wheel, suddenly become masters of the sea? The answer is hidden in the waves of prehistory, and it's far more incredible than you can imagine. For nearly 2 million years, Homo erectus, Neanderthals, and even early Homo sapiens were landbound. Their migrations were epic, yes, but they were always on solid ground. The vast continents of Africa, Asia, and Europe were their playgrounds. But what about the islands? What about the lands separated by miles of churning, unpredictable water? These were impassable barriers, death traps. Think about the sheer terror of the open ocean to a land animal. The freezing cold, the unpredictable storms, the monstrous creatures lurking just beneath the surface. To our ancestors, the ocean wasn't just a barrier. It was a hungry, merciless god. And yet, we know they were crossed. Not just once, but again and again. The evidence is scattered across the globe, from the remote islands of Indonesia to the vast reaches of the Pacific. The first whispers of seafaring are almost unbelievable. Some controversial theories suggest Homo erectus, nearly 1 million years ago, might have made accidental sea crossings. Imagine a group, perhaps swept out to sea on a crude raft of logs by a sudden, violent flood, drifting helplessly for days. A terrifying ordeal, yes, but if they survived, if they landed on a new shore, it would have been a revelation. A terrifying, accidental discovery of possibility. But these were likely rare, desperate events. The true conquest required intent. It required a plan. It required the realization that the water wasn't just an enemy, but a potential highway. This shift in thinking was perhaps the greatest mental leap in human history. The real story of human maritime mastery begins in a place of countless islands. Island Southeast Asia. Here, around 65,000 years ago, our ancestors faced a unique challenge. To reach the vast, resource-rich landmass of Sahul, modern-day Australia and New Guinea, they had to cross stretches of ocean where land disappeared from sight. This wasn't an accident. This was deliberate. This was the First Great Ocean Voyage. They weren't just drifting. They were choosing to go. They were building, planning, and preparing for a journey into the unknown. Imagine the conversations, the shared fear, and the ultimate collective decision to risk everything for a chance at something new. This was the beginning of our identity as explorers. What did these first ocean-crossing vessels look like? They weren't grand ships. They were likely simple yet revolutionary. Dugout canoes, carved from massive tree trunks, or perhaps rafts made of bamboo. Imagine the sheer effort. The hours, days, weeks spent hacking, burning, and shaping wood with only stone tools. Every strike of the axe, every controlled burn was a step towards freedom. The risk of failure was constant. A single mistake could mean a vessel that capsized or leaked. But the reward? Access to untouched lands, abundant food, and a future for their people. This was the birth of naval architecture. They were learning to manipulate their environment in a way no other species ever had. But these early vessels had a problem: stability. A simple dugout canoe is prone to capsizing in rough seas. The solution came from the brilliant minds of the Austronesian peoples. They invented the outrigger, a floating support attached to the side of the main hull. This simple addition transformed seafaring, provided stability, allowing for longer, safer voyages. And then came the catamaran, 2 hulls lashed together, creating a stable platform for trade and exploration. These were the jet planes of the ancient world. They allowed humans to carry families, livestock, and supplies across thousands of miles of open water. This wasn't just about survival, it was about colonization. They were bringing their world with them. Building the boats was one thing. Knowing where to go was another. How did they navigate vast, featureless oceans, often out of sight of land? They didn't have compasses or GPS. They had something far more ancient and profound: the stars. Austronesian navigators developed star path navigation. They memorized the rising and setting points of specific stars on the horizon, creating a celestial map. The ocean became a giant clock, the stars their infallible guide. They also read the subtle signs of the ocean itself, the flight patterns of birds, the color of the water, and the rhythmic pulse of the swells. They were in total harmony with the world around them. This was the first great astronomical feat of humanity. They were reading the universe to find their way home. Armed with their advanced boats and celestial knowledge, the Austronesians embarked on the most incredible voyages in human history. From Taiwan, they spread across the Philippines, then south to Melanesia, and eventually, after a long pause, east into the vast, empty Pacific. Tonga, Samoa, Hawaii, Easter Island, New Zealand, every single one a testament to their unparalleled courage and skill. They were the original space explorers, but their cosmos was the ocean. Imagine the sheer isolation. The weeks spent at sea with no land in sight, trusting only in their skills and their ancestors. The moment they finally saw land, a tiny green speck on the horizon, must have been a moment of pure, transcendent joy. They had done the impossible. The impact of these maritime innovations was staggering. It wasn't just about reaching new lands. It was about connecting them. Trade routes emerged, linking distant cultures. Ideas, technologies, and even languages spread across vast distances. The ocean, once a barrier, became a highway. This wasn't just a technological leap. It was a social and cultural revolution. It laid the groundwork for the interconnected world we live in today. We are, at our core, a maritime species. Our history is written in the wake of our ships. The courage of those first mariners is what allowed us to become a truly global civilization. The spirit of these ancient mariners lives on. Every time a ship sails, every time an explorer ventures into the unknown, they echo the courage of those first ocean conquerors. They remind us that the greatest barriers are often in our minds, and that with ingenuity and determination, humanity can overcome anything. From a simple log raft to a vast catamaran, the journey across the waves was more than just a physical act. It was a profound declaration of humanity's insatiable drive to explore, to discover, and to connect. We are the descendants of those who looked at the impossible and said, "We can do this." Their legacy is in our DNA, driving us to reach for the stars, just as they once did. So, the next time you look at the endless ocean, remember the impossible journeys. Remember the courage it took to push beyond the known. And ask yourself, what impossible horizons are we yet to conquer? What new oceans await our ingenuity? The story of humanity is a story of crossing boundaries, and the greatest chapters are still unwritten. If you enjoyed this journey through prehistory, hit that subscribe button and join us as we continue to explore the incredible story of us. What discovery should we cover next? Let us know in the comments below.